All right, we're going to call to order. So the 4 p.m. August 22nd meeting for we're going to discuss budget and some contracting work here. Sorry, we got a quorum. So let's do pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, anyone want to lead us? Sure. Prayer.
Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather and do the business of this agency. Lord, we pray that you would be with us and lead, guide, and direct us. Be with those out there doing the work of this ESD, Lord. Keep them safe. Keep them in your palm and make sure that they get home at night. We thank you, Lord, for the recent rains that you sent us, and we pray for more. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, please seat. All right, we'll open up for any citizen comments. I don't think there's anybody on the board. This yours? That is mine, yes, sir. Thank you. I believe.
We don't have a sheet up here.
Is there anybody who would like to make any comments from the audience?
You know me, I never talk.
Never. Peggy's a mute.
No signatures up there either.
All right, well, let's go on to agenda. By the way, I'm going to speed round this one, gentlemen. Hope you're okay with it.
You're gonna what?
Speed round it. We're going.
Okay.
Okay. Review, discuss, and approve a renewal of Vector Solutions. Which one was Vector? Please remind me.
That was one of the programs that we were using for training and for the maintenance program.
That's right. Yeah, it was a training, tracking, and maintenance database, right?
Yeah.
Which we no longer need. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we should cancel.
Cancel.
Is that acceptable? I'll take
I'll make a motion to cancel that contract.
Okay, all in favor?
Or I should say to not renew it.
To not renew, correct?
Yes.
Any opposed to canceling it? Okay, so carried.
Who seconded? Jerry?
I do.
Patrick and Tony. All right, review, discuss, and approve cancellation for fee for AT&T. What's going on with that one?
So she's still working on that, trying to get it done. We're just going to make it official that we want to cancel it.
Did we not already do that?
We sent cancellation notices.
No, did the board, did we not?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so we're okay with that part then?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
She put it on here again for.
Okay. So we will.
And that's for the fiber, not for the phones and stuff that we got.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we'll revisit it next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Review, discuss, and agenda number 5. Review, discuss, and approve a renewal of First In software. Which one's that one?
I have no idea.
First In software is the Responder 360. That's the vehicle tracking software.
Okay. So that is one we need to maintain?
Yes.
What does that run?
I think it's like $360 a year.
Okay.
Quite frankly, it doesn't.
I'll make a motion that we renew the contract for First In software.
Okay. Second from Jerry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so carried. All right, review, discuss, and approve recruiting contract proposal. Did everybody have a chance to read that one? Is there any opposition? I actually think that we need to table this one and push to our next meeting anyway. Just based on some other discussions we were having before, and we can talk about that. So I'm gonna just say we're
That
gonna.
needs to be rewarded too. What is, recruiting, are we talking about for the
Yeah, the administrative position.
administrative position? Yeah.
So we're gonna
Well,
punt that one too for right now.
why don't you and I had talked about this. So
Yeah.
my thought is to hold off on this for a year with whoever we contract with, see how they do, and decide whether or not we want to move forward with hiring that spot.
Okay,
I make a motion that we postpone, that we do not move forward with this, hold off for a year, and at that time, we can look at it, whether we want to hire again.
So just for understanding, a portion of that would be working with what Christy is currently doing as our contract administrator, and then, so are you saying?
Oh, I thought you were talking about for the.
It is contract administrator, but it was also for, God, I'm filthy, look at me, dirty. Contract administrator, but it was also to handle a lot of the administrative work in here. But that's why I say,
Yeah, so
I think we should just table it.
I'll withdraw my motion.
To not take any action, let it draw off, just.
That's what I'm saying, we're gonna table it, we'll revisit it next month.
You wouldn't table it, there's no motion, it dies for the lack of anything.
I'm writing stuff down.
There we go. Okay, well, agenda item number 7, review and discuss service provider options. We have 3 service provider options on the table. We can have a discussion about each of them. We had community presented, Clint presented a couple months ago. You have his proposal, the page on there. And then I just met with Allegiance just prior to this, and they are in the continue mission mode, exactly the same, no changes as it is right now. The one item that I discussed with them was over the virtually eliminating the requirement for outside of Allegiance mutual aid calls, so nothing coming from Atascosa, nothing coming from 1 or from 6 or anything else. It would, if they're going to do it, they're going to keep it in-house with one of their other units between here, Moore, and Somerset. They would flex those units in to ensure that specifically to they wouldn't have to tax the most important one was Atascosa getting hit all the time out of Lytle and then not having any service there. And they have a little more flexibility with the South Medina County area, this where we're at, and being able to help with Moore and Somerset. It's something they're exploring and they're going to have discussions about.
Is the 258 a year going to remain the same?
Yes. Oh, from Allegiance?
Yeah.
As far as I know, that they had no change in there. I asked them if there was any change in the subsidy rate, and they said no.
So for correction, they're at 221, Allegiance is currently. 258 was what ESD1 proposed to us, so I went with the top number, and then 500,000 is what community proposed to us. And so the 258 was the mean in between the two, between Allegiance and ESD1.
Okay.
So yeah, as it is, Allegiance would stay the same. Operations would continue exactly as they are, with the focus on reducing or eliminating any out of Allegiance calls for mutual aid, specifically to Atascosa. That's the intent. You have the proposal from ESD1 here as well, and we had communities. I'm sorry I did not print that one off, but we had Mike presented, and they're actually both here for questions too, I'm sure. If you recall, he presented at the last meeting and his numbers. So I think, Patrick, you just said, what do we had, Allegiance? It was the 212.
221.
It's 212.
212. Community was 500, and ESD1 was 250 for the top line. The additions on, and Clint, correct me, please, if I'm incorrect speaking here. The additions for ESD1, and this is specific to incorporating our operations in with ESD2's operations, that we would be able to combine work together, and Clint was proposing to have oversight here between ESD2 and 4. Specific
Is that
to
where the battalion chief comes in?
yes, yeah, it was the battalion chief, and that cost on that one plus an administrator was going to be
92.
Yeah, shared was right around 110 between both of them, shared,
with the administrator.
yeah.
So we would have 110 and they would have 110.
I don't have those exact numbers, but that's the ballpark.
the intent? It was somewhere in there?
Yes.
Okay, I don't want to, I'm not going to nail you down for exact numbers on that one right now, but I think that was, does that sound right?
Yes.
So our share of that would be 110, with a look towards consolidating the 24-hour service. Our service providers would be over at the firehouse. This would largely become an administrative building for training, administrative work, meetings, this type of thing. And then they would be able to focus over there, let the management of the fire and EMS for ESD2 and 4 be combined under one leadership with one of the ESD1 staff. And that would, so where we're at 250 right now, that would put another 110 on top of that. So it would be 360 at that point.
Which is where we're at in the budget, because we had talked about hiring an administrator and having a coordinator. So,
Well, we've talked about administrator, coordinator, battalion chief, somebody from his unit running, what are we gonna name like that? What position are we going to fill? That's gonna be the overseer of both, if we go that way.
If we combine operations with ESD4 and 2, so a fire and EMS, it would consolidate under one leadership position that works for ESD1. That would be the battalion chief, and that person would have an administrator that works and serves both ESDs as for administration of our functions, the board functions, for administration of also the firefighters and EMS personnel.
That clears it up somewhat.
Yeah.
And for what I'm getting at, we don't see a lot of public at the meetings, but what I'm getting out in the public is basically, as long as whatever company is decided on, as long as they can do the job, the contract's a contract. If they don't fulfill a contract, then, we've got to change something. But the general public is, all we want is the service, and whoever you contract with is okay with us, as long as we get the service.
Okay.
So that's my feedback.
So then it would, there is a regard of cost, the difference in cost between the two,
Yeah.
or between the three, and we want to make sure we're being fiduciarily responsible. So in that way, in that manner, if we're just looking at, the community doesn't care off of one of them, of any of them, we would just continue on with allegiance in my mind. But if the community wants to see the combined efforts with ESD, the fire and EMS services, and as I understand it, ESD1 can provide service to us or provide service to both, but it cannot provide service in this capacity to ESD2 and not ESD4.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct. They do not have the funding to do it standalone.
I'm sorry, sir?
They do not have the funding to do a command officer standalone.
Yeah. And I think that's really the bone of the issue, or the bone of contention on it, is where do we want to see those operations combined really as a community, or do we want to leave it the way it is? In my mind, open for discussion, please.
Tony?
Well, I think that, if we're going to do what's right, Allegiance has done a fantastic job for several years. And not only that, they're cheapest. So my idea, my whole theory is just to go with them.
Okay. More?
And again, the public, if they get the service, they're all right with it. As far as I'm concerned, the contract's a contract, whoever we contract with.
Okay.
If we're looking at the cost, then, Tony's got a point. If we're looking at consolidating, then that's another
Well, if we look at cost, we need to look at true cost, right? True cost is, we keep Allegiance and we need an admin person here to take care of our business.
We do, yes.
So you look at that cost, we're gonna hire a contract, what'd you call it?
A contract administrator.
Administrator.
So we're looking at
$50,000. So you're looking at that in addition to,
Yeah, but the other's 110,000, so, right? Our share
Yeah,
is
that's correct,
110.
yeah.
So $50,000 is half of that?
I don't think it would be difficult to find an administrator. But again, the main thing we want to do is be able to provide the service and not have any glitches, I guess you could call it, in service. If the service is fine, then, then the people will be okay with it. But the minute they start, slacking or whatever, and they don't get the service they want, well, then the heat's going to start building on their own.
This was one of the discussions that I had with Allegiance, is that we get browbeat from our neighboring cities about specifically Lytle, about, hey, quit using, they're not saying quit using our EMS so much, but the reality is they've contracted for a certain service and they're not able to provide that service to their community. So they, as their people there, are responsible to make sure that their people are getting the service that they want. And so that's really been the largest, in my mind, the only bone of contention with the work that Allegiance has been providing us, is that there's a lot of out of service call, or out of
But if
mutual aid.
they're going to cover everything, and if they don't, then that's a contract negotiation.
Yeah, that was part of the discussion. Really was just, hey, how do we get this flexed? So you move your Somerset unit down and you move your Moore unit over right to the border, right in there. They're still in their area, but this old thing we used to do on patrol. When one guy came out of service, the other guys kind of gathered around just in anticipation. Still stayed in their patrol areas, but they were there to respond. So if they can pull that off, then that's great. I guess we've never tasked them with that before.
we have. I've brought that up in multiple meetings, that's in the contract, they're supposed to float a unit over here. And I've been told that we don't have the units to do that.
Okay.
So that's been in more than 2 or 3 meetings that I've brought that up, and that's the answer that I'm told.
Okay.
So with that, I'm going to make a motion that we contract with ESD1 to provide EMS service and combine with the fire department.
Okay. Is there a second?
I don't, before I go any further, do we have any numbers on that, Clint? Pat?
Clint presented us with.
Yeah, and it was kind of a hodgepodge of numbers, but as far as the bottom line, what is that going to cost the district?
So the long and the short of it was going to be cost.
I'm sorry?
The long and the short of it was going to be cost. We don't know how much your revenue, we don't know how much your billing revenue is. So until you know exactly how much the billing revenue is, we believe your subsidy is going to be this. It's going to be anywhere from 0 to a couple $1,000, actually, as far as above the subsidy. So
Here I'm looking at 1.8 million. You've got a list of charges here, potential charges. 3 shifts, 24-hour coverage, 870,000.
we know how much, we believe we know how much it's going to cost to provide the service. The question becomes, what type of billing revenue is here? And that's the unknown.
So that, you would take the ESD1 and I guess you could call it, would be taking over the billing as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
They would essentially be doing the same service as Allegiance at that point. Two units right now.
And the reason that Allegiance is more reasonable is because they keep the billing proceeds, correct?
Well, they keep the billing, we would keep the billing too. So to be transparent, we would keep the billing too.
Yeah.
They know how much it is, we don't.
Yeah.
So,
I don't either. Pat probably doesn't either.
So really, I guess the 250 was an estimate. where you're basing, and that's, like we asked Mike last week about what's his reimbursement rate, and those are calculations that gotta go in. We can do that on the EMS side, but we can't do that on the fire side, obviously. So the fire side doesn't bill back for Medicaid, Medicare, that kind of thing.
Yeah, fire's very deliberate because it's the cost and it's the pay the cost because it doesn't generate revenue.
Right. They don't file for insurance claims or anything like that?
Not to any degree to offset costs. And so our proposal was just, we're gonna show you what it costs and we're gonna show you what we receive, make us whole.
And then any subsidy would come quarterly. We would meet quarterly and make up the subsidy difference from what based off of billing that they missed.
Well, the billing part of it is substantial, I would imagine. Somewhat.
So I would venture to say the average EMS bill is about $2,200. And I don't know exactly how many transports. I know they're running about 2,500 calls a year on here. We're in that ballpark, is that right? Share? 2,500 calls a year on here?
Yeah.
And so you figure, I can tell you, I estimated what I believe it would be. I believe it's gonna be about 100,000 a month, maybe, somewhere in that ballpark. Whatever it turns out to be, that's what it is.
You're talking about the revenue from
Billing,
billing?
yes. And then the other position that, keep in mind, you're getting effectively 24-hour direct oversight.
And this is going to cover here and Italian as well?
EMS, yes.
Okay.
And the benefit that he would bring us is that he has 4 units in the Castroville in ESD1 area. His thought is that if we roll out 2 units, he's bringing a unit down to Roy's Beverage Barn and stage it there so it can cover our district. And so we have the other units along with the other 3 units. He's going to be tracking the numbers on calls that we have and help us figure out if we need a 3rd unit or not.
Which is, I mean, Pat's been doing that, we're trying to make sure we cover that number when it comes to that point. So I think it's in the same way. I'm not saying, the work that, I think that the big benefit in my mind, the big benefit of the ESD1 would hold over Allegiance would be that they have that flexibility to pull down units and that command control piece of it. But to be sure, we are talking about, it's not 250 if we do this with a command staff here.
Right.
It's actually 360. So it's substantially more in order to do that. However, what are we doing for the community, and how are we having that relationship and helping ESD2 provide better service or a consistent service across the board? There's some intangibles that Clint can provide that Allegiance can, and there's some intangibles that Allegiance can provide that Clint cannot. I think it's really about how do we see all of that happening in between all of the agencies and the whole community, and is it more important to keep what we got that's been good service, or is it more important to have that, again, that more combined effort with the fire side between the 2 agencies, really? And that's in my mind, that's the crux of it. How do we perceive, what's the way that we would see that? Do we want to act independently of ESD2, or do we want to act with ESD2? And
Well, I think this is the direction that Tony and the previous board were going.
what's that?
More in-house.
Okay.
Rather than, but this is completely different than what they were going to do. I think that you're probably, I don't know if you probably got it down anyway, but they're accepting more headaches, more work, I guess you call it.
He is?
Headaches, yeah. And if that's not a problem, I don't really have a problem with trying it, but is the service going to wane? I would hope not.
Is it appropriate to ask one question?
Is the service going to wane, or is it going to get slower? I would hope not.
I would venture to, from my point of view, the service will be either the same or better.
Okay.
We do, I mean, there are tools and equipment that we use that Allegiance doesn't. Not that it makes it right or wrong, it's, you know, different sides of medicine. Some of that equipment your district already owns, well, most of it, your district already owns and sitting on a shelf.
Well, the main thing that I'm looking at is the service, the quality of service and the availability, I guess, for the public out here. Hope I never need you.
Right.
I hope I need Rose Hill before I need y'all, whether it's Rose Petal or whatever.
Primrose.
Yeah, Primrose, yeah. I hope I need them before I need you. But anyhow.
You know what we're doing with you. It's okay.
Huh?
We know what we're doing with you, so.
Well, I have no problems whatsoever with Allegiance at all.
I think their service has been great. It really comes down to, again, how do we see this going forward as a board? How do we see it? How is it going to affect the community as a whole? Or do we want to just try the mic with what we're doing? I'm sorry, continue with what we're doing, you know?
Well, when something works.
Well, you could say that too, but then why did the last board want to, you know, go in
Because
term?
we had a lull in there. And
Did we? Okay.
You got an attention.
Yeah.
Oh, you think so? Yeah, is that what, I'm seriously, yeah.
Don't you think, Pat?
I'm sorry?
We had a lull in service, and that's why we decided to start our own board, our own EMS service. But as soon as we started discussing that, all of a sudden, everything's a lot better. I'm not getting phone calls every other day.
Yeah. Now with Clint, we've got, we're gonna have a Christie and a replacement for Jason, right?
Oh, actually, in an odd sort of way, yes.
Okay.
He has a battalion chief position that would be oversight over ESD2 and 4. It would probably house out of here in my mind. And that person would have an administrative person on their staff.
We would post a full-time administrative position. And that position would be posted, we would interview and hire the best candidate.
And that those two together are essentially shared by us and 2.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so when we need support, administrative support, then we would go to that administrator. When they need administrative support, they would go to that administrator. When we need operational support, we would go to that battalion chief, in and through Clint as the head.
And he'll be administration, but he lives in the community, the gentleman that we're gonna promote and move over here. So he would be no different than myself, where on major calls, he's still responding after hours.
Well, and I guess one of the shiny parts of your proposal, I guess you could call it a shiny part, you already said you have somebody local in mind.
Yes, sir.
Plus, all this tax money is staying here.
Yes, sir.
It's no offense, it's not going to an out-of-county company, and we're benefiting from the billing.
Our goal is to hire you folks that are going to be committed to this community, that are going to work here, that are going to stay here. Some of them will live here.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate to date. I cannot think of a single turnover we've had. We've made some decisions on some folks, but our folks that we've hired have been with us. We're not moving people in and out. We've got the same folks working every day.
You still got a motion on the floor? I'll second it.
Second the motion on the floor was to go to, just one moment, well, okay. Look, you guys mind if I take a couple questions from the audience?
It would actually
I think mine won't make a difference, even if when you answer, it won't make a difference in the outcomes. I think you've answered it already.
Okay.
So I'm good.
Pat?
I'm not going to speak on Allegiance's behalf. I'm going to speak on behalf of Pat Borsier, a taxpayer and a long-term citizen of this district. And I will tell you, I believe with all my heart that ESD1 can provide you with a good service. But what I'm hearing is 2 different measuring sticks here. You're measuring one company that you believe you have to hire a contract administrator to oversee on your behalf, but you're going to contract with another company, then you don't need a contract administrator. So who's going to defend the district if you don't have somebody on your side of the table who's going to be honest, and no offense to you, be honest and forthright when the bad news doesn't want to be heard? You guys decided to hire a contract administrator or chief or whatever, and that's great. It was a great concept. No matter if you're going to contract with that someone else that's not your own service, and even if you have your own service, you still need your own administrator, somebody that responds to the board. But when you're talking about outsourcing, you need to be fair, guys. You need to be fair. Because if you say what you mean, if you say, well, the service is good, well, the service is this, well, the service is that, great. But make all the measuring sticks the same. It's not right for you to sit up there, in my opinion, and say that you're going to do something else that's going to cost us more money. But what is the benefit to the taxpayer, and where does that leave you? It's just a good question. If I sat on the other side of that table, and I have, my question would always be, who am I going to bed with, and am I in control of that? We formed 2 ESDs on purpose. There was never a consideration for consolidation for a reason. Your taxpayers pay for you to oversee a better EMS service, not a fire service. They have their own ESD. So you can take the difference in money, and as long as you're going to spend that difference to make a better service, great. But make sure you're gauging and judging those services correctly. You can't, in my opinion, I think if you're going to go that route, more power to you. It's not a bad decision, but I think it's a bad decision if you don't follow your own advice. You set it up. You said you need a contract administrator to oversee your business, to make sure whoever you contract with, that your business is going to always hear the truth and always get all the facts. You're leaving that out when you start talking about doing something different. I don't think it's fair as a taxpayer. And now you're asking me as a taxpayer to spend more money so that another ESD can benefit from that? Now, gentlemen, I get what you're saying about the community, but the community voted for an ESD4 to provide EMS services, period, and make that good. And whatever judging maps and gauges you're going to go by, just make sure they're fair and they're equal.
Would the contract administrator also be a...
No. That would, in Clint's concept, the administration position would be under his battalion chief.
They're gonna support these 2 districts, but one of the differences is you're gonna have access to everything. There's no, like we'll set up your computer system to where you have access to everything that happens for this district. The same thing, there's no, whoever we hire is not signing checks. All the money still comes through you, no matter what. It's government with government, so it's an interlocal. So it's not, contracts, because you're dealing with government and government, the term I believe is interlocal, between governments. So contracts are different between corporations, but with government it's an interlocal agreement between 2 governments to support the taxpayers. Believe me, ESD1 gets 0 value from this. 0.
Well, so to address your conversation, Pat, one is this ESD has never owned its own service. It's always contracted with somebody else from day one. So your argument that we need to have our own EMS service, we saw that happening and it sunk. And the other thing is, Pat, I'm at the point where I want to move on to somebody else because I've asked you, our contract with Allegiant says that you will provide a unit, you will float a unit over here when we don't have any units. And you have told me in multiple meetings, you personally said that we can't do that. Well, there's a contract between us and Allegiance. And that if Allegiance wasn't going to honor that contract, then that shouldn't be in there. So we still get people that are waiting for ambulances because nobody's floating a unit here. We have a good contract, I think, but I'm not happy with that.
Again, I was trying to speak as a citizen, not as an allegiance, so I want to be careful, if you don't mind, Patrick.
Sure.
As a citizen, and when we did create the ESD, because I was part of the group that helped create it, it was for the purpose of improving the emergency medical services in this area. Because at the time, and if you remember correctly, and if I'm taking too long, Steve, I apologize.
Yeah, we do need a wrap, but.
Okay.
Please, yeah,
The whole purpose of the ESD was to make sure that we had appropriate EMS services, period. And that's why, in fact, we were on the fire department at the time, we decided that it would be best to create two different ESDs for funding purposes. And that's what we went to the citizens with, and that's what they voted for. As far as the other issue, I can't comment because I don't want to cross that. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Okay, so all that said, we have a motion on the table to switch over to services. Your second still? Okay, I have a motion and a second. So all in favor of contracting with ESD1 to provide our services? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay, I'm abstaining. I'm not going to be a part of that one, so just as so that motion passes. We will be moving over to ESD1. We will work the next period for transition, towards transition, and we'll work out the mechanics of it.
I will have more questions.
Sir?
I will have more questions.
Yes, sir. So we'll get back with your folks on it. And Mike, thanks for providing us also your insight on your side too. So with that, we're going to move on to agenda item number 8. We got 15 minutes. Let's go. Patrick, your show.
The tax rate worksheet. I
Yes,
did not
sir.
print that out. Did you?
Is it that one?
No, it's the
Big one?
It's this one.
Yeah, it's that one. So
So the no new tax revenue is at 0517, and the voter approved is at 0539. So the no new tax revenue is a little bit above where we're at, and that's at that rate so that we bring in the same amount of money that we brought in this last year. And if you look at the budget worksheet that I gave you, I've got what the no new tax rate is in dollar value, and then the voter approved, and then the de minimis rate, which if we went to the de minimis rate would bring in a lot more money, but we really don't need to do that. If we stayed at the no new tax revenue, there's enough money in this budget that we can operate with what we just approved.
and that was my take on it as well.
Yeah,
we do not need to do anything with our tax rate.
I think we leave the tax rate for no new revenue.
Okay, but we have to set the budget before we can set the tax rate.
So the budget, then you're looking at the first column on these, then, correct?
Yes.
Technically, you can't. You cannot approve this tax rate. It has to run in the newspaper for 2 weeks, so it has to be on this.
Not if it's not
If it's a
not
no-new,
not
only if we're going up.
only for
You
changing.
still have to put it in the newspaper so people can come in. If this is not in the newspaper, you have to put it in the newspaper, so if anybody wants to contest it, you have to contest it.
Okay,
So it
then
has to run-
I'll tell you what we're going to do here. Hold on. We're going to approve pending council discussion on that one, and if we have any other restrictions.
Okay, time out. What we have to do first is pass a budget, and then if we're gonna go that route, then we pass a proposed tax rate.
There we go.
And then that would get posted in the paper. But if we're not doing an increase, if we're staying at the same rate, then we don't need to.
So are we finished with agenda item number 8 then, and we're moving on to the
Well, we'll have to go
review,
back
discuss,
to-
and amend 24-25 budget?
I don't have any amendments in the 24-25 budget.
We already did that previously.
Right.
But I don't remember if we approved that one, did we?
Well, there's nothing to amend because we have $36,000 left from the administrator spot.
But we had just where the monies were going has shifted slightly, and there's more and less in certain places. So, we discussed that too in June. We discussed that, but I don't recall whether we approved those changes or not, because there was changes. They were minuscule. They were small, but there were changes. And it didn't affect the bottom line,
right?
In any measure. And in fact, we came out positive with that, but we did make changes. So, just because as time goes on, we make
So
stuff.
let's hold off on that one.
Okay.
And then let's move to the 25-26 budget.
So you want to move to agenda item number 10?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, your show.
So if you look at the numbers, and I did a 10% contingency holdback with the tax rate. So the net ordinary income after the budget is $218,874. That's without adding a peak unit, and the discussion that we had was that we would look at the numbers and decide in the future what we needed to do with the peak unit.
With what?
With a peak unit.
Okay. So we come in the black, $218,874.
Yes.
At the end of projected at the end of the year, we're up. We still have $218,000 that would be remanded into retained earnings at that point.
Yes.
Okay.
$218 to $318.
218. It's on page 3. It's that blue net ordinary income.
They got it in black.
Oh, well, the one I gave was in color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right down there. 218,874. And if you recall from our last budget discussion in June, it was what Patrick had done was taken most everything that was still a valid expense and increased it by 10%.
Right.
So this is even this would there's inflationary already in there and built into the budget. And we have the contingency piece in there as well, you said?
Yes, the contingency piece is right off the top. If you look at the 10% contingency, that would be $99,000 with no new tax.
And that was that reserve. That's just that reserve hold that we got at the very end, the very beginning of it.
And we won't start getting tax funds until maybe October.
No.
That's when we'll start generating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll restart just in January.
We'll get them in January.
Get the bulk of it in January.
Yeah.
I don't pay mine until January 31st at 4:30. Nope.
Well, you shouldn't. You should earn interest on that money the whole time you got it.
Something like that. I'll have a little bit.
With that said, Tony, you got anything to add?
No, it looks pretty good, Patrick.
Christie and I got these numbers worked up, so.
Well, if this appears to be what everyone is in favor of, I would move that we accept it as presented.
So I have a motion to accept the
Line one, the first column.
the first column, yeah, the no new tax settings, so we will not be generating any new taxes from the public.
So he wants to approve, and I'm just gonna add on to what you're saying, let you amend that. The budget of $688,131. total expense.
Yep, budget column number 1.
Yeah.
So I have a motion on the table to approve the 25-26 budget for column 1, no new tax setting.
I'll second it.
Second from Tony, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so carried.
So I just want to confirm that you're staying at .0496?
No.
0521.
Okay, then that's an increase, because
No, it's not.
No,
It's not an increase.
It's a no new
It's
tax
no new
setting.
tax revenue.
As it's calculated.
That's
We
what it
will not
says
be
right here on
receiving
this
any new
paper.
revenues based on from what was there last year.
But in
Keeps us
September-
at the same dollar amount. I understand it was 496, but
Did you second that?
this is what came from the county. This keeps us at the same rate. It's the same thing that was done last year in October when Ken Campbell was here, the no new tax rate. He explained it the same way.
Okay.
It keeps the dollar amount the same.
In September 3rd's meeting, we approved 0496 as the new tax rate.
That as the no new tax rate, okay? All right, we're moving on with this discussion. Okay, so
I appreciate your comments. We'll make sure it's right.
It's okay.
You might want to look at the form because she has a point. Depends on how you plug the numbers in. Even if it is no new tax rate, you have higher evaluations which create that same check. But it really is an increase if this number is a tad different than that.
So it's reverse on that. That's what they have, is reverse on that. Their values went down, and so to generate the same dollar, the percent went up, because you're right, your rates refer to the dollars you bring in, not your percent. And because y'all did a homestead exemption,
And
that reduced your taxable value. So the way that rate works, yes, sir.
You're still gonna bring in the same amount you brought in last year.
Right.
Yes.
So the way, think of it like this, if I have this house appraised for $100,000, and I have a 10-cent tax rate and I get $100 off of it. Next year, if this house now appraises at $50,000, and I still want $100, now I need 20 cents. That's not considered a tax increase, because I did not charge more dollars. And that's why the years where a lot of people post a tax increase, even though their percentage went down, they still have to say we're increasing taxes, because the law is based on whole dollars and not percents.
So our valuations went down because of
The exemptions that we approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess like none of the valuations.
Yeah, it's an
went down.
inversion of what is normally happens, that your rate went down a little bit, the charge percentage went down a little bit, but you brought in more dollars, and that's still considered a tax increase because it's more whole dollars.
Okay. With that, agenda item number 11 is our next regular meeting is September 7th.
Wait, we gotta go back.
Oh, what? Oh, you want to go back to
8.
number 8? Well, what's the difference here? The tax rate works.
The difference is that we
First
need,
you have to approve the budget, and then you can approve
Yes.
the tax rate.
All right, well, let's do that.
so we're not gonna approve it. What we're gonna do is propose, I make a motion and we propose the tax rate at the no new tax rate,
Which would be 0.0521.
0.0517.
Oh, 17, we have on 521 on here.
Yeah, that's the old tax rate, right?
Yes, the same dollar amount as the old tax rate. The old tax rate was set at
So you make it, your motion is that we approve, based on the tax worksheet right here we have in front of us, that we approve the tax rate of 0.0517 that will bring in no new revenue.
Yes. Is that where you got, oh no, this is hers.
I'm looking at the paper right here, and then I'm looking at there.
Yes.
And that one's different.
Hell yeah.
So, do we need to recalculate that?
I will need to recalculate this.
Okay.
We need to, so we've approved this budget.
Okay, budget's approved.
If, we would have to go to rollback at .0539, right?
A voter approved rate is 0.539.
Right, so
If we went above that,
Yes, but if you've got it figured at 0521, that's about 10,000 of a cent higher than
The 517.
517.
So really what that's gonna affect is our retained earnings.
Yes. So
And we can live with that, so.
then the motion is that we set the proposed tax rate at 0.0521.
Okay. That makes sense, because that's what the budget figured out.
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion on the table to approve new tax rate at 0.521 cents per $100,000 valuation.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that's, that would be agenda item number 8, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
September the 10th.
Okay, do we need to discuss agenda number 9?
We'll bring that back in the 10th meeting,
Okay, so we're gonna table that.
because that doesn't affect what we're doing for next year.
Okay. So agenda item number 9, just review, discuss, and amend the 24-25 budget will be tabled until the 10th. And with that, agenda item number 11 is next regular meeting will be September 10th at 7 o'clock right here, same that location. Agenda item number 12, we'll open it up to around the room comments. We have comments from the public. Like to share anything more? I really appreciate the discussions. It's the only way we can do this stuff with good input from good people. So thank you, everyone.
So you're calling your public hearing for September 10th?
Ma'am?
You're calling your public hearing for September 10th?
Yes. Right, requirements, right.
Does that have to be a motion, or is it just part of the motion?
No, that's just setting the next meeting. That's our next regular meeting.
But we need, I'll have to get hold of Ken and talk to him, just to ensure.
Well, we can do the public hearing at the same time.
We will do it at the same time, and then we'll have to publish it, and so we'll get with you guys on that one. Okay, with that, I'm gonna call for adjournment. You get a motion?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, we got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, gentlemen, and we made it in under an hour.
That's the fastest meeting we've done.